Welcome to the Wealth Matters podcast, where investors come together to better understand how to build passive cash flow and create generational wealth without all the confusing mumbo-jumbo. Here's your host and co-author of Amazon #1 bestseller, Alpesh Pamar.
Welcome to Wealth Matters podcast. Hope everyone is having a great day. I have Mr. Zack Boothe today. He's the host of the Driving for Dollars Mastery podcast, where he shares his insider secrets to finding massively discounted properties, regardless of experience level. I want to learn about that as well. Zack went from a successful window cleaner to an even more successful millionaire real estate investor. So I am definitely looking forward to this episode. And Zack has a great story about how he turned $1,000 into $40,000. So that would be a great story to hear from Zack. So welcome, Zack.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here, everyone.
Absolutely. Tell us something interesting or funny about yourself.
Oh, well, kind of so you guys know who I am is I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I kind of grew up a simple guy. My mom, I'll tell you kind of a funny story. My mom was pregnant with me when she shot a deer, her very first deer, with a bow and arrow. So from the time I was a little boy, I was dragged across the mountains here in the Western United States, having wild adventures with bows and arrows. And I remember being just a little tiny boy learning to fish. My mom taught me how to fish. So my mom's, a tomboy out there hunting and fishing. And so which is very odd and different for a lot of people in the business world, right? Because usually outdoorsmen, rednecks, they're not into business. So I'm kind of caught up in this world of, my grandfather had one tooth and I love business, so so that's me. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. And I also love the mountains, and I love the simplicity of life, or how life can be simple, I should say.
That's great. I love outdoor, by the way. I'm crazy about outdoors, but not the mountains like you do.
Yeah.
But that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I love it.
So what was your first real estate investment?
The very first deal, I actually bought a duplex. I was young, I was in my early 20s, barely married. And I bought a duplex. I lived in one side and rented the other. And the other tenants paid the mortgage and then some. Back then, I was a window washer. I had my window cleaning business. So not having to pay a payment on a house or rent was a huge thing for me. More than anything, gave me that belief and confidence. It's like and that taste of some financial stability and freedom. Like that was kind of that aha moment. So that was my first one.
That's great. And how did it work out for you overall, that investment?
That investment was awesome because I bought that one back in 2012 and the banks were unloading their
timing.
Yeah. It's like, I thought I was a really smart investor. This is great timing, right? Kind of had to be an idiot to lose. But I bought that one in 2012. It was a bank foreclosure, had standing water in the basement. It was bad. But I grew up doing construction, so I wasn't afraid to swing the hammer. And I told my real estate agent, the stinkier, the better. I want to put some sweat equity into it. And, but yeah, it turned out to be a good deal. I cash flowed and rented on it for like 6-7 years. I ended up selling it, but I bought that property for like $50,000, put about $20,000 materials, my own labor. And I ended up selling it for nearly $300,000.
Nice.
A handful of years later. Yeah. And then it propelled me into buying more properties and, and so it was a good one. It was a really good one.
Yeah. And you got paid to live there.
Yeah,
basically, and then it cash flowed all the time. So I think it's a winner.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was not everyone's been that good. My next one, I tried flipping a house, and I was there Christmas Eve, and it was horrible. And I made I made $5,000, but not really. The amount of time I was there, I would have made more at a minimum wage job, but but
it's the learnings, right? Remember,
exactly.
You can't have a blockbuster every time. I tell my investors as well as listeners that you can't have a blockbuster every time. First time you get lucky, maybe, right? But every
Yeah.
time you learn something, right? And as long as you apply, you learn from those mistakes, you are always moving forward.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. Tell me you've never crashed a bike, and I can
Right.
guarantee you've never driven a bike without training wheels.
Right. Right.
And so it's like if you've never lost any money at all investing, you probably haven't invested very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you reminded me about the bike. I just finished my first triathlon.
Oh,
And
really?
I kept crashing when I started going back on the bike, right? About a year ago. I'm like, oh man, because you had to learn all the clipping and unclipping, right?
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
whole different world. The way we have been trained to bike, and now you have to change how you shift gears, how you unclip, how you. So
Mhm.
it was a different story, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's super fun. When I was a teenager, I actually biked from Salt Lake City to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was a 300
Oh
and it
wow.
was amazing. I was 14 years old. I did it with my dad. It was 304 miles in 4 days. And
Nice,
oh, it
man.
was incredible
That's
experience through the
amazing.
mountains and
Yes.
oh, just beautiful. It was an incredible experience. So that's really cool. That's cool.
Wow.
You bike.
What assets are you focused on right now? Like in real estate side, is it single family? Is it apartment building? What are you focused on?
Yeah, right now it's mostly single family and small multifamily, right? That's where my marketing, my deal finding is focused right now.
Got it. And let's talk about how did you turn that 1 grand into 40 grand?
Well, what happened was I wanted to show people that it was possible, right? It wasn't like, hey, me flexing, I'm so great, look at me. The reason I did it is 3 years ago I started helping other people, and the reason I did that is I read a book, or I did a self-help journal, and the first 100 pages it helps you create 3 big goals, and it talks about who you have to be and what you have to do to accomplish these big 3 goals, and then you make the 3 big goals, and then you keep a daily journal working towards those 3 goals. And one of the big goals was a financial goal. It was to make $1 million that year. And the year before, I'd made just shy of $500,000, and I was literally pinching myself because I went from like 6 figures to
Right. That's
$500,000, and then I
crazy.
was trying to go to $1 million, and I was kind of like, this is impossible, but I'm going to try. And it pushed me to push for a very large goal. And in there, it said I had to give away whatever I wanted to receive. If I wanted love, I gave love. If I wanted money, I gave money. So
Yes.
to my interpretation, I had to give away $1 million. And I was like, this is a little counterintuitive, but I went to my wife, my sweetheart. I love her to death. We just celebrated 11 years anniversary last week. And I was like, babe, I want to give away $1 million. And she's like, you're nuts. She was like, okay, how do we do it? And she actually came up with the idea. Well, you figured out how to go from 6 figures to $500,000. Why don't you just teach how you're finding these properties at such a discount? Just teach that. Find a couple of people, teach that, and easily put $1 million in their pockets. It's like, you're genius. Like, this is, and that goes along more with like my moral compass of like, you give a fishing pole, not a fish.
Right.
You
Yes.
teach people how to fish, not
Take
just
the
give them a
horse
fish.
to the water. Yeah.
Yeah, because you
Water.
just cripple people, right? I
Yep.
don't believe in this government just throwing money at people.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve problems. It just continually, makes the
Correct.
problems worse. Right. And so I was like, oh, I love that. Right. I'm going to empower people that want to take control of their lives. I'm going to accomplish the goal of giving away $1 million. So I brought on 10 people, and the goal is to put an average of 6 figures in each of their pockets within the next 12 months. Right. So it was 100% kind of a goal to help people. And I fell in love with it. Right. I blew that goal out of the water. My very first student, Michael McLeish, a year and a half later, texted me, I've now alone made over $1 million from what you taught me.
Wow.
Right. And so like I fell in, not only did I hit the goal for them, I hit the goal for myself. I did 1.2 million in my real estate wholesaling / investing business that year, but I fell in love with coaching. Right. It became a major distraction. It actually cost me a ton of money. I didn't make money for like 2 years as a coach. It was a total distraction,
Right.
but I loved it. It was like a purpose driven thing. So what happened was, as I started coaching and helping more people, I found out that so many people were like me when I first started, major skeptics. Major, like, it can't be done. You can't find properties at 50 cents on the dollar. You only can be successful depending on the time of the market and the economy. And I had all these thoughts and confusion and excuses that kept me from taking action because I didn't believe. What changed that is I was washing windows for a wealthy investor. He was, because I had this window cleaning business for a decade, and it's the kind of that transition period where I went full time into real estate. And I was washing his windows, and he's this wealthy developer, and he's like, basically just gives me 2 of his rentals he didn't want to deal with. He hadn't collected rents in like 4 months. He just handed them over to me, seller finance, couple thousand down.
Oh,
And I
wow.
ended up making over 6 figures on these deals. Right. I did a seller finance to me, and then I did a lease to my tenants with an option to buy. Both of them exercised the option to buy it the next year because it was way too low. I screwed up, but I still made over 6 figures. Right. And so even not knowing what the heck I was doing, I made all this money, and I was like, holy crap, like there are people that want speed and convenience over price. Like you can make a massive amount of money. So I believed, I kept learning, and I kept listening to podcasts and got a mentor, and exploded my life. Right. And so I wanted to give that same gift to others. So this 40-day challenge I did, I had to leave where I was at. I couldn't have my employees, couldn't have my team, couldn't have my infrastructure. Right. I had to go somewhere I'd never been.
Oh, right.
So I left Utah. I flew to Tampa just because it was wintertime and it was warm there. and my wife's from Brazil. Anyways, it was for personal reasons, but I went down there, and the goal was to just document day by day what it takes to get started, like what it takes to find massively discounted properties to change your life. And the goal was to, only get $1,000. And I wanted to show how good of deals I was getting. I was going to get these properties at a discount, and I could quickly turn them for cash to a different investor, leave enough meat on the bone for the other investors to have it done quickly. So I was able to get 3 deals and pass them on to another investor and just get paid basically an assignment fee or a finder's fee. So no debt, no risk. And the goal is to make 40 grand in 40 days. And I blew the goal completely out of the water, like blew it out of the water.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you also, when I was researching before the podcast, you also talk about how an investor can get more out of their real estate investment from purchase to exit. So can you talk more about that?
Well, there's an incredible book. It's called Multifamily Millions. And when I was learning real estate, I was studying like how to flip houses and how to wholesale houses and how to do lease options and how to do subject to and seller finance. And what these are is ways to take a deal and turn it into money. Right. And they're just exit strategies. But what the book Multifamily Millions talks about is it talks about multifamily properties and a lot of syndications, which is essentially, so you go out and you do your marketing, you find a property at a discount, you bring in people that have the money and you do the deal, you get a percentage of the deal, your investors get a percentage of the deal, and you all make money. It's a great way to make money, right?
Right.
But it said something very interesting. It says, real estate investing is marketing. If you can't get that between your 2 ears, you will not be in business for long.
Right.
Which made me think, it's like, okay, so if I'm going to do giant multifamily, or if I'm going to do single family homes, or if I'm going to do apartment complexes, or if I'm going to do, storage units or trailer parks, it doesn't matter. Because if you can't get these pieces of real estate at a major discount in the beginning, it doesn't matter what your exit strategy is. It doesn't matter what you do. Right? Because if you there's no bad time to invest in real estate. There's no bad economy. There's only bad deals.
Right.
Because it could be a really bad economy and we have, 10% unemployment, 20% unemployment, some record, right? But you get a property at 10 cents on the dollar, it's going to be really easy to cash flow. Even if interest rates are high.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So you first have to start with finding properties at a discount. And that's where my mind was. And that's why I've had so much success. That's why I'm still having massive success through this dip. Like the single family and a lot of the stuff we're dealing with, 10 to 20% dip in the last 3 months with these interest rate hikes, right? We're officially in a recession according to the GDP and the old definition, right? Government likes to come in and change definitions now to try and trick us, but we're not stupid, right? We're truly in a recession right now. But I'm still making 6 figures a month on my real estate deals because I'm getting really, really good deals. And so it starts there. And then once you have a really good deal, it's a lot easier and you can get away with a few mistakes to be successful, but there's different strategies to then turn them into a profit, right? One of my favorite strategies to start is wholesaling. And what that is where you get the property under contract. The purchase contract has a paragraph that you can assign it to another investor. The reason I like that is if you blast it out to all the investors in your area and nobody's willing to pay what you have it under contract for, it's not a smart investment for yourself either. They're seeing something that you're not.
Right.
And the cool part is these millionaire investors, these very experienced full-time investors and flippers, they'll be able to look at that deal and now they're going to educate you on why it's not a good deal because they want you to bring them good deals. So now you're going to be educated by all your investors. So one of the filters that I use when I'm going to cherry pick my own rentals is I still blast it out to my cash buyers and say, what would you pay for this deal? Sometimes the offers are so high, I'm like, that makes way more sense than keeping it. Like the long term, like the speed of that money growing is way faster than holding that property. Right. And sometimes I'll wholesale it, but sometimes the offers come in and I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to make a profit, but mathematically it makes more sense to hold this one. I'm going to hold it. But sometimes I'll blast it out and I'm the idiot that thinks it's worth more than it really is. And I get educated on why it's a bad deal. So I don't make a bad decision. I have a bunch of advisors that are paying me. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's one of the reasons I love wholesaling is it's one of my favorite strategies because I believe it helps educate us as investors on what's a good deal, what's not a good deal, especially if I have like a unique property or a multifamily or something that I'm not a specialist in, or like a trailer park. I've never done one. So I definitely want advice from the best of the best and maybe potentially partner or just pass the opportunity on or cherry pick it for myself after I've been advised and counseled by that person.
Got it. No, that's very interesting. So let me ask you this, because it's you're doing wholesaling. Isn't it conflict of interest when you either are trying to buy the same property and you're also sending it to your investors and figuring out that if it's a viable deal?
Not necessarily, because you're looking at all your options. So for example, let's say you list a property for sale on the general marketplace, right? You blast it out and what happens? Let's say you get a bunch of people interested. Well, now you have multiple options. So now you take and look at all your options, highest and best from everybody, right? So when I have an investment opportunity, I go, okay, does it make sense to keep it as a rental? Does it make sense to wholesale it? Does it make sense to do a partnership where I get, or a syndication essentially, where I get an assignment fee up front, plus I get a percentage of the deal on the back end?
I see.
Does that make sense? Does it make sense to buy it cash, put tenants in, remodel, cash out, refi, do a BRRRR strategy? I look at each property. The exit strategies, will vary depending on what my goals are and what the deals are in front of me, right? And also, the situation of the seller and what their needs are and what they want as well, right? So each deal, I look at it with different options, right? And so for me, it's like, I don't know that I'm going to assign it. I don't know that I won't assign it. I always check to see what all of my options are so I can make the best decision for everyone involved.
I see. So, and can you give us an example of recent or maybe not recent where you went through all these options and then you picked the one which made more sense?
Yeah. So give you one. We're flipping 2 houses where we're partnered with a flipper. We got $105,000 assignment fee up front by assigning these contracts to this flipper. They're 2 houses on the same street. And then after he gets the first $105,000 in profits on the flip, we'll split whatever's left over. I don't believe it's going to be much profit, if there's any profit beyond the 105. There might be, right? But it was such a big assignment fee up front, it made sense for us.
Oh yeah,
right?
and you got it up front, right? So you don't.
Yeah, I got 6 figures.
I
got 6 figures. I don't have to wait. I don't have to worry about anything. The fun thing too is I actually personally funded on this one the second position loan for the remodel, so I'm going to make money on that as well. Really good interest rate on that. So I'm making money there as well with some of my cash I had sitting around. And then what happened is my acquisition manager was there and noticed a vacant house on the same street. So he went and door knocked that one while he was there and got that one as well. And so this last week, actually, we blasted out to all of our cash buyers, and the flipper on the street calls us. He's like, "What the F, dude? Like, I want this property." He starts cussing me out. I'm like, "Why are you swearing at me, dude?" Like, he's like, "Cause I don't know. I don't want you blasting this out to your cash buyers, because what if they do a bad job on the remodel, list the property, and then my comps are going to be low. So it won't appraise to sell these other properties. I need the remodel to be top notch to keep the comps high So, because I'm doing a nice remodel. So I need these properties so we don't get screwed on this other deal. And I had already blasted out to my buyers. I said, well, brother, like you got to sweeten the deal. He's like, fine, I'll offer you, because it makes sense for me not to, for these other ones, I'll offer you more. He gave us a $50,000 assignment fee on this one house. Plus, he gets the first $15,000 in profits on the remodel. And then we split the remainder.
Just the first 15.
Yep. Just the first 15 on this.
Wow. That's a good deal, man.
It's a great deal. It's a great deal for him. It's a great deal for me. And it's a win, right? And then now he's protecting his other flips on the same street. So, I mean, and sometimes though, like we just did another one where we just assigned the contract. It was only $15,000. We just sold the contract, walked away completely, no equity on the back end or anything else. Right. So it just depends on the situation, the house, the needs of the seller, the needs of the end buyer, what we want to do as the deal owner, right? It's essentially, we have equitable interest in the moment we sign that purchase contract. Wouldn't matter if it's a multifamily, single family. This is common business practice in the real estate space.
Oh, that's great. What are some of the mistakes you have made with your investments?
Oh, a lot, dude. A big one that especially in the beginning is I gave the responsibility of finding deals to someone else. So I had this digital marketing company that promised me they could get me seller leads. And not just seller leads, but sellers that had like a crappy house that just wanted to sell it to an investor, right? People that wanted speed and convenience over price, so I could get investment opportunities. And I signed a $30,000 contract over 6 months. And not only did I not get a lead, but I never even got a call. I never got a seller. I got nothing.
Whoa.
Nothing. And I quickly learned that I had to be in control of my marketing, right? You don't realize real estate investing is marketing. If you don't get that between your 2 ears, you won't be in business for long. So learning and figuring out a way to find deeply discounted properties, I use a strategy called driving for dollars. And, the 40-day challenge, I did it. And so like, once I took control of that thing, it was a major one. And then another major one is, if I look at strategic partners or end buyers to buy my deals, and if no one's interested in the deal, don't do the deal because they're seeing something I'm not.
I see.
Because I've had a couple times where I've looked at my options and I'm like, these guys are idiots. I can make $60,000, $50,000 on the flip. No one even wants to pay what we owe on it. I'm going to show them. I lose my shorts. Right. I recently just lost $87,000 on a deal. It was my most painful mistake. I've been in a lawsuit for 1.5 years over this one. And
wow.
Yeah. And then I had another 80 grand held at the title company during the lawsuit. So not only did I lose 87, I had 80 G's held in escrow for the last about 13 months. And which is just sitting around not making me any money.
Right. Opportunity cost. Yeah.
So what happened there is I brought on a strategic partner that if I'd have done some background check, I would have realized what he was and who he was. So he was supposed to be the general contractor. I gave him money. He pocketed the money. He changed the scope of work on the remodel. The remodel's 3 months. It ended up taking 12 months. Just all sorts of problems. I ended up losing money on the deal because of all the mistakes that he actually made. He was certain that I didn't lose money, but I was trying to hide my profits. So then he throws a wrongful notice of interest on the property, trying to block the sale.
Unheard of. Wow.
Trying to block the sale, and he's a broker. So now his broker's after him. I've got an attorney involved trying to get this thing closed. It almost killed the sale. I had to put money in escrow to get it to go through. Long story short, pick your strategic partners carefully, right? Yeah. Because even though you have contracts in place, people with low integrity create lots of problems for everyone else. So be careful on who you partner with, who you work with. So I've made lots of mistakes. I've made a ton of money. Luckily, I've made more money than mistakes. But yeah, man, like it's okay though, right? It's like riding a bike. If you're not crashing that bike, you're not really riding it and you're not really living to the fullest on that bike. And so yeah, I've definitely had some doozies.
That's good. What has been your best deal so far?
Oh, I'm just going to say, man, I've had some good ones. I'm not going to say like my biggest money makers. I'm going to say the ones that give me the most faith and the most belief, right? there's been 3 deals that have been the biggest psychological improvements and blessings to me. It was the first one. I'm going to do 3 just really quick. My first duplex that I bought, where I rented one side and lived in the other, because that showed me the power of real estate and really educated me on the, the cash flow, the tax, the appreciation, like understanding how it functions, understanding cap rates and, your net operating income and how to really figure out what a good investment really was. So that was an incredible one that gave me hope and belief to try. Another big one was, that wealthy investor that gave me 2 of his properties, gave me that belief and courage to really make it my full-time gig. Right. That one was majorly influential. And then the next one, after I hired a mentor to teach me how to wholesale, like the strategy of wholesaling. I remember after joining his program, a month and a half later, I did my first wholesale deal and I made 10 grand just selling a piece of paper, no debt, no risk.
Right.
And it was 2 wealthy investors. Actually, it was crazy. They had over 100 rentals and it was their last one and they didn't want to deal with it. And this partnership had gone sour and they're like, just take it. They named the price, put it under contract, blasted at my buyers. In 1 week, I made 10 G's.
Right. No, wow.
And
That's
like,
cool.
that was like, holy crap. Like there's so much opportunity. There's deals everywhere if you know what you're doing. And like that just put this major fire under me. So it's not necessarily the money ones that mean the most to me. It's the ones that changed my mindset, gave me the confidence, the belief that kind of propelled me. So I think probably those ones are the most influential favorite deals.
That is so important, right? The way you put it, right? Those deals change your mindset, or at least reinforced what you are trying to do. So I think it's important, not just the money or the success you have had. It's more about how you got started. No, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. What has been your worst deal so far, and what did you learn from it? I'm assuming it's the lawsuit deal, or maybe that's some other.
Oh yeah, that one sucked, dude. That one sucked. That's got to be the cake. That guy, and the problem is, it's the person, it's the human being behind the deal, because it was actually a sexy deal. We had that bad boy locked up. It's 600,000. We ended up selling it for 1.4 million. It only should have been a 6-figure remodel. It should have been $400,000 in profits. That will tell you how bad I screwed up with that partner. So it was a very frustrating one, but God's good, because I can eat $87,000 like it's, lunch money. And I'm just so, and I don't say that sounded so arrogant. I didn't mean to sound arrogant, but I'm just grateful for what real estate has done for me. Nice. I'm just so grateful that even though there's challenges and I make mistakes and I'm stupid sometimes, that I can still take care of my family, that I still have freedom, and I say this not to be like, oh, look at me, but only a few years ago, I was a window cleaner. Seriously, 2017, I quit my window cleaning business.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? And so it's just been so cool to be on the journey. And it's cool because I'm not a unicorn. Like, my students are firemen and forklift drivers, and worked in corporate sales and worked at a dealership selling cars. Like, I have all sorts of people from crazy different backgrounds having success like this. It's been so amazing.
That's crazy. Which markets are you focused on, and why?
Where I live mainly. So here in Utah, and it's just because the convenience factor on it. I got a marketing system that generates deeply discounted deals. Like I said, there are factors that can make things a little easier depending on the market situations, but ultimately what's most important is the deal and getting good at deals. So I believe it can be done anywhere. That's kind of why I did the 40-day challenge. I didn't pick Tampa because it has a secret code of awesomeness. It was warm and sunny and it was winter, right? And so I honestly believe that what's most important is getting good at finding deals, not necessarily the market. But yeah, mainly Utah. I did some deals in Tampa. I kind of had a business in place there, but I found that it was just a distraction, and there was so much expansion to be done here. I am currently expanding into 5 new markets right now, for the reason being I have a strategic partner who is in SEO and PPC, and we're going to expand into 5 markets. And I'm going to basically partner with other investors in those markets to service the leads that I'm producing essentially for almost no cost. So I am expanding nationwide. That's the plan with my investing business, but only because I can, because of the influence that I've built through the coaching. And I've helped so many other people become super successful with people that I trust, that I would partner with and be like, hey, here's $100,000 profit deal, take care of it and give me half. Right. And so that's what I'm structuring and building out right now.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Zack, for sharing all these golden nuggets. Are you ready for fire round?
I'm ready.
Would you be changing any business or investment strategy because of inflation or the recession? Because I know one of them is going to stay for some time.
Oh yeah. Well, we're definitely, crazy interest rate hikes. GDP's down, the actual values of single family homes, especially in our higher inflated markets, East and West Coast, the values have dropped 10 to 15 or even 20% in some markets already in the last 30 to 60 days. I'm seeing it across the board. But am I changing what I'm doing? Not really. I believe in finding deeply discounted deals, and I'm still tracking very closely where I'm spending my money, how I'm finding my sellers, and the results that I'm getting from it, right? And my net profits off of my marketing. So I've pivoted a little bit. I've changed a little bit my postcarding systems. But ultimately I will pivot as I need to, but I haven't really needed to. We're still pulling incredible margins. My cost after marketing, I'm still an 80% profit to 90% profit margin, which is a huge,
that's great.
Which is crazy. It leaves me tons of space for my acquisition manager and my team. So margins are still super hot.
Favorite real estate or business or maybe personal development book?
Oh man, so many. One of my personal favorites that I still use a lot of the teachings and instruction and gold nuggets from still to this day, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I love that one.
Great book.
Love that one. So that's a good one.
Any tool or website you recommend or you cannot live without?
Yeah, a huge one is an app called Deal Machine. So I actually met the owners of Deal Machine in 2018. I don't have any ownership. I wish I did. They're doing awesome. But they came to me, I started doing Drive for Dollars. That's how I find my deeply discounted deals. And they were building an app around it to really speed up the process. So imagine you drive down a street and you see this ugly house. Imagine that you could just touch your phone and it'll give you all the information of the owner, where the owner lives, their mailing address, the property address, their phone number, their email, nice. All of that stuff is all the information you need, right? And imagine you could drive down the street and it'll route track where you've been. So you can hire someone to drive down the street for you. You can track how many miles they drove or when they drove,
that's cool.
And keep the analytics behind their work. So you know that they're not just laying in their bed, adding random ass properties and spending and throwing money away. So you have this Google Maps image that's highlighting and color coordinating where they've been so they don't redrive areas. And they're just touching ugly houses on their phone so you can reach out and see if they want to sell. That's how I'm finding my deals. I could not live without that app. So in 2018, I met them, the route tracking, the tap to add, we just tap the phone to add all the information. All of those updates were things that they did because I asked for it.
Oh, nice.
I spoke on stage and they're like, hey, will you help us with developments on this app? I have actually a weekly or biweekly meeting with their development team to, with the things that they're working on in their app, just because it makes me a lot of money to use it and my students. And so I do it happily, right? I wish I had ownership though, but yeah, it's an incredible app. Couldn't live without it.
Oh, that's great. Any advice for beginner investors?
Oh, the biggest thing that holds people back, right, is the belief that they can do it 100%. Because if you don't have a massive belief that you can do it, you're not going to give a massive amount of action. And without a massive amount of action, you're going to get okay results. And once you get okay results or bad results, you can be like, see, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew it wasn't possible. I knew I wasn't capable. I don't have money. I don't have a rich uncle. I'm a single mom. I'm whatever. Right. And then you're going to spiral downwards with less confidence and less belief, less action. And you're just going to feel sorry for yourself your entire life. And you're never going to excel. So you need to start with that massive belief. It's kind of hard to start without massive belief, without proof of concept first, right? It's kind of counterintuitive. So my suggestion is to surround yourself with incredible human beings that are doing, living, and accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish. And go watch that 40-day challenge where I go out and do it, because it's the whole reason I did it, to give you guys that belief, to give you that confidence. There's a link you guys can go watch it. It's free. It's just a quick link. It's called Driving for Dollars challenge.com is the landing page, drivingfordollars.challenge.com. And you guys go watch that, or you can go catch it on my YouTube channel for free as well. But yeah, go watch that too. But yeah, believe in yourselves. Like, I was a window cleaner. You guys can see the stories on my podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery Podcast, with random background people, single moms to firemen to all sorts of different people, screaming from the rooftop the same kind of success that I've shared on this podcast.
How do you give back?
Oh, coaching, helping, content. I do 10 TikToks a week. I do 2 podcasts a week, 4 YouTube videos a week, 1 other people's podcast every single week. It's all free. It's all helping and giving back. It's what I do. Yes, I coach. Yes, I help people and they pay for that coaching. But I do it because I want to put money in people's pockets. The coaching is how I give back 100%. How
can my listeners reach out to you?
If you guys just want to say hi to me, reach out, say you've heard me on the podcast, you can shoot me a DM in any social media platform, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. I'll respond. Or, you can also go to my website, drivingfordollarsmastery.com. You can book a call and talk to us if you have questions about the coaching or me helping you guys get started. You could go there and book a call with us as well. So
thank you so much, Zack, for your time, man. This was great.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Matters podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes so others can enjoy the show too. Have a great week and happy investing!